Hello there everybody and welcome back to episode 18 of my tutorial series for Factorio. So there has been a little bit of a time delay between the two episodes, and that's been just because I had so many preparations to do for this episode. So we're finally properly scaled up on all ends that we can currently achieve. So I've taken the time to build up a proper steel facility. As you see now, we have a lot more smelters. We have here the train-based in and output. Currently, it shows clearly that one train wagon is not nearly enough to satisfy the needs of our factory, but we can size up when we need it. So as you see there, this beauty here consists out of 96 smelters, and it produces a whopping amount of 3 steel per second. Yes, you heard that right. This is the equation. It is just that nuts. It eats up one entire yellow belt of iron plates, or iron ore, because it transforms 1 to 1. Yeah, steel is quite a costly ordeal. And this type of thing sometimes can happen to you when there is some stone lying around where you build. You know, all the stuff that's lying around on the floor, sometimes you lose track of it. You pull a belt over it, and then whatever was on the ground, it's transported through your grid. This way, sometimes your smelters do quite wacky things, and you need to clear out the output. Otherwise, this smelter stays inactive. Now, that steel is what's going to fuel today's main course, Blue Science. So this is the very first time that we're going to build something bigger. As you see there, or maybe you can't translate the gibberish there, so I'll do it for you. We have here a pretty heavy investment in terms of assemblers. The blue ones are tier 2 assembling machines. Whoa, slow down there. I have prepared a few in advance. So I strung up a couple of extra machines to get myself those tier 2 assemblers together. As you see there, that's why you always want to set up limiters. But it is not that much of a horrible thing. We now have the assemblers and we're going to use them. Don't you worry. Okay, where was I? Yeah, we have a pretty heavy amount of machines necessary. 16 machines for the vials themselves. For the ingredients, we need for the red tech cards a grand total of 19 machines. For the engines, we need also 17 machines. And the sulfur, well, I have not yet put that up onto the tab, but this is really the most small thing on the list. So for the first time we have to build something bigger, and that's where the fun starts. This is where you have to consider where you put which element, and logistics become a lot more interesting. So to begin with, I'll be piping off some of that steel to take a journey down to our blue science facility to be. There we go. As you see there, it's getting quite crowded here already, and that's why I always keep a little extra wriggling room everywhere, because it's just so valuable when, at the end of the day, you have no problem in just bringing up the main materials together. Here we have now copper, iron, and steel. The only thing we don't have is stone as a basic material, but we even have coal available. That is pretty good. You should always try to have an access to these materials as good as you can. In several tutorials, people like to use a method which is often referred to as the megabus, where you start smelting at one point, and then you just pipe an endless road of the main materials down your factory where you take things off. I'm not particularly big believer of that concept, but for smaller factories, it's amazing. I just think the megabus is a concept that just doesn't upscale as well as other concepts. So, I also have gotten myself some lights. Anyways, I'm digressing. So here, our main challenge is now to think about where do we put which element, and of course, how do we get every element working as good as possible. So the red circuits are a pretty demanding industry, as you see here. 20, almost 20 assemblers go into that, and the engines, they are quite not too complicated, but they are quite demanding in terms of spacing. So I'd say we're starting out with the engines. We've already done that another time for our mall, but today I want to set this up a little bit more strategically. All right. So we're going to start now to split off things from our bus, just like that, as you see. And now we have access to iron and copper, just like that. Boom. Okay. And I think we're just going to go that way with the steel. So we have everything we require. So our engines, they only require steel and iron. There's no other material required in this production chain. So let's start working with that. I'm going to put these materials together now. And then we're, well, it's a little bit impractical, whatever. I try to do my best to stay away from too much perfectionism, and I can only advocate for that. Not every part of your factory needs to be aligned perfectly to another one, but it's allowed to. That's if that's your tickling your fancy, do so. I admire people that have tidy factories. I am not one of these people. I am a messy person. I strongly believe in chaos, and that is good for creativity, and I am really bad at keeping things in absolute order, but I'm good at juggling chaos. So, well, everybody has its own style, and this is something that's very, very important in the world of Factorio. So we're going to put here now the iron gear wheels and the pipes together on one build. We do require, as we see here, one machine for the iron gear wheels. Just like that, we can just go over it. We can also copy the recipes from Helmut like that. And now we're going to weave some builds. Just like that to show better what I'm doing. There we go. Now just some... let's take that one. Alright, so... let's see... yeah, we're going to go for that way. So the easiest way to connect these two builds together now, in my humble opinion, is something like that. So here we go. This one makes sure that the iron gear wheels go on the right side of the build. If we would not have this build here, this last one, this would turn into a regular curve, and that wouldn't work. So for our engines, we do now only require steel and the other shenanigans. So we actually could now go forward and change our plans. Personally, a big fan of changing my blueprint a little bit while I'm working. Plus, I just noticed that we're going to be able to make our engines happen just like that. We have all our ingredients now lined up. So next up, we need 14 of these machines. So you can now either put all 14 in one line, that's one way, or you could just do it battery style and line 7 to 7 next to each other. It's entirely up to you how you want to manage that. We're here, let's see. I want to check. I want to have, well, let's see, most of the action happening here. So I'd say we're going to go for this one. I like this. So let's do a 7-on-7 thing like that. That's 5, 6, and 7. Control C for copying that thing. But first we need to make sure that the ingredients will be running past that. And we got an output of that. So we're going to put this stuff out into that direction. And now we'll have to set up these bad boys. Control V for bringing up the stuff that you just copied a second ago. And now we can just let the materials flow alongside and run out of yellow belt. Do that, snake that the other way around, and then you could even get that close to the original spot as you possibly want to, and then you have a nice compact building blueprint. The thing here is you can really take this whole thing down to a religious level even. This is the thing, Factorio really allows you stupidly deep optimizing if you wish to. But I personally take it like, keep things fun for yourself. The moment you notice the stuff that you're building pisses you off or it's just annoying to do, it's always for me a very important moment to evaluate, is it necessary to do that? Sometimes it is a necessary evil. I can only say at that end, my dear friends, I hate mining outpost building. I find it a tedious chore that I hate to do. Later we get construction robots that will automatically place down things that we have copied. So that's going to be a lot easier. So at some point on our adventures, we're going to be able to just do this, and then the robots will automatically set up the inserters and all for me. Currently, we're not there yet. Currently, we're in the age of manual construction. There is a mod, I did already mention that, called Nanobots, that allows you to go earlier for construction bots, but you need to build sort of an ammo for that. I love that one, as it doesn't give you the automation for free. You need to work for it, but it is not in that as far away in the progression chain as it is for vanilla Factorio. Because with the blue science that we're today producing, I hope so at least, we are going to be able to finally start researching robots, and that is where we start going places, friends. Okay, but now we got the engines part done, just like that. So the key at this stage of the game, I like to repeat here, is that you really need to find your own pacing and your own how to put it, your own way how you want to compose these building blocks. Of course, there is one other way. You just copy all these things as a blueprint. You can just copy all of those things that you have here when you do this. This is something that you can also have as a permanent blueprint. I'm going to talk about that on a different occasion, a little bit more in detail. But in a nutshell, you can have all these blueprints permanently, and you can even download them from other people when you really don't like to do something. I personally, for example, I freaking hate doing rail networks and rail signaling. It drives me up the walls, literally, and therefore I love downloading other people's rail network stuff, because that, I'm just too stupid to learn it. I admit it. It is something that just pretzels my brain the wrong way. I don't know. It is just something that didn't work out for me. Either way, I'm digressing. Next up, red circuits. So we have already prepared the other episode, the necessary plastic for that. So today we're mostly focused into going for more green circuits. So today we're going to talk for the very first time about, well, large-scale circuit production. We never did that before. So there we go. This is a pretty decent setup, as we have the iron already around the corner. So first up, we need to make a lot of copper cable. The thing here is, the copper cable that we need to make is overburdening a yellow belt. I'm going to illustrate that now a little more in detail. That was my dog dropping her favorite chew toy. Just in case you wondered what the hell is happening behind me. She just dropped it casually out of her sleeping bed. Anyways, it's damned distracting. I love dogs. So we need, for this thing here, only one fast inserter to work. So far, so good. the real nasty thing here is we have 5 machines outputting 15 pieces of cable. So at that point, if we do this, all the inserters that we let go here, I'm just going to let it run. It's the best way to see the problem in action. So here we go. And now what's happening is all of these items get down on one side of the belt. Just not feasible for us. So we already know of our good old trick, but at this point, here's one other big problem. If we go for our usual approach, so let's take that power pole out of the way. It's absolutely too much here, so we'd be going for this method here. Oh, whoopsie, that's the curve I was talking about the other moment ago. Then we still have the problem that the, how to put it? Yeah. So one of these guys is producing 3 cables per second. So 3, 6, 9. So that means here we're currently trying to put 9 pieces of cable on a spot where only 7.5 can travel. This is why this is one of the points where I would strongly recommend you to just do a very simple upgrade. You can, of course, shenanigan out something with belts if you wanted to, but the easiest approach at that stage is just to use red belts. Just upgrade the capacity at that point, because you know you are making things a lot easier for yourself. There we go, just like that. If you ever have to make it work with yellow belts, though, in case you're interested, the solution is to have 2 belts where you have the output working like that. So the machine in the middle gets to output on 2 different belts. So to illustrate it properly, it would be yellow belts. So basically, yeah, this one would wriggle around like I had it before, and this machine gets to output on that one, and then you just weave the extra stuff into the belt, and as you see, it's way more complicated than just taking a red belt. Beltology in Factorio is a real serious business, but whatever. We have now the necessary cable that we need. This thing eats up half of a entire copper belt, so it's quite a voracious little thing. We're going to go now next into merging these belts, because when you check out the rest of your ingredient list, iron plates are now no longer needed elsewhere. So the easiest thing for us to do is now utilize the fact that we got the second half of that red belt together for this machinery, and now we can easily just produce the green circuits that we require, just like that. So there is, of course, way too many ways to resolve this little situation than I could possibly, or there are way more methods that you can do this than I can possibly explain. I really have a hard time saying this is the best method, this is the method you should definitely use, because I think the real fun in this game lies in finding out how you want to resolve that situation. It just sucks when you have always the same solution for the same problem, at least my personal take. So we got that done, but we need to let the copper cable run along a little bit longer for this ride. So here we're now going to use the plastic that we produced and put it on a splitter, because we're going to use the rest of that plastic somewhere else, definitely. And now we can just easily go for a construction like that. I need a little bit more wriggling room here for this to work. And there we go. So the only thing that is now not working is... Can I do this? Like this, like that? Oh, well, Yes, I can, but I need to replace a few things. As you can see, there's really a lot of cool things that you can do. And we need to wire this through like that then. Go. And just like that, we have all the materials next to each other that we require. This is one of many ways how you can do this, of course, but personally like these. So here we have again the same thing at hand. We have a situation where we needed to place down a dozen of machines. So here you can again take the lengthy approach or the battery approach. So I want to do a little bit of the battery approach here to show a very simple setup of sorts. So let's do it this time the other way around. I think this is fun. So I don't need to snake it that way. So this time we are going to go and make the input lie inside and the output outside. So it's basically the inverse of what we did before, just to showcase both methods that you can do. They are, well, pretty much the same in efficiency-wise, but you often, well, I'd say it's all a question of what is currently logistically more pleasant to do. So we can now even go as far as, no, we need to have that one go, because we need that output here, otherwise we don't have the full capacity here. Oh, wait a sec. We need the input there, see? All confused now. Now it works again. This was important. So now we can drag it all around like this. Give this one a quick little gap like that. Of course, you can make it a lot tidier, less tidy, just like you want to. And then I'm going to work it like that. And as you see there, we're now doing exactly the same as we did on the other side, just with different rolls. Oh, I need some fresh yellow inserters. As you see, yellow inserters are always a high requested good. The shocking thing about this, to me personally it is at least, is that we are only producing 1.5 red circuits a second with all this stuff that we're doing here. It is just, the later you go down the, or the deeper you go down progression road in Factorio, the more demanding the setups get. This is an intermediate setup. This is not small anymore, but it ain't large either. We are going to work with much larger things later when we are going to go for the rocket parts. And this is, as I'd like to say, a good practice of just trying to get your blueprints in a way together that doesn't stand too much in your ways. As you see here, what we did there is now, footprint-wise, not bad. It could be better aligned. We could have brought things a little bit more on one line. For example, these 3 assemblers could sit on the same level there. There's a lot of things that you can optimize on that. I'm personally a big fan of getting 80% of the work done in 20% of the time. The Pareto principle works extremely well on Factorio, and that's why my factories often tend to be a little bit messy. But, well, it works. If your machine works, it's a good machine. It could be a better machine, but it ain't a bad machine if it works. So, let's take this like that. And now we have the majority of the ingredients already together. The only thing missing now is that sulfur part, so that is going to be the easiest thing though. So we only need to manage to get our liquids together, or, well, let's see. We have the liquids here already on a sort of a liquid bus. Left click, shift, right click, shift, left click. So I'm going here for this production out of one distinct reason. I can easily connect the necessary liquids to this machine, as you see there, by just adding a couple of extra elbow pipes. And while I could just transport the petrol gas and the water also down to where I need it, this is, from a fluid logistics standpoint, a super easy thing to do. There we go. We're already done. So, let's see. We're going to pipe that sulfur down there. The disadvantage of what I'm doing here is pretty clear. It takes me way more conveyor belt than just fusing things together or producing the sulfur just here locally. As you see, every method has advantages and disadvantages. Alright, so now to the last step. We just need now a battery of 8 on 8 machines. Just like that. I think we're going to go for the method here. It's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here I'm going for the same method as before. Copy these, paste these down, and just like that. This is a concept that you can use pretty much everywhere. Sometimes it is smart to make things in one big line, so not to go for the double setup like I do here, but instead go for a long line of things, basically what I did here with the engines. This really depends on your current situation, your current geography. The rest of your factory quite often is also part of that consideration chain. I think at this point I illustrated quite well what you need to do and what you can't do. So we will now string these last bits and bobs together and then get that blue science where it needs to be. So with the blue science, the advent of that allows us to do a lot of wonderful things. First of all, of course, advanced oil processing. I've been already talking about that in a different episode. But we also gain access to uranium processing and eventually nuclear power, which is basically I personally think the most efficient way of generating power in the game, as it is basically a enormous water boiler that you just use to power turbines, just like you do before, just with uranium instead of coal. It does produce way less pollution, and yeah, it's pretty nice and interesting little thing. I hope I find time to get to that chapter as well. Because the thing is, that's important to note, you don't need to go for nuclear power if you just want to launch a rocket. Basically, a lot of that tech tree that you're researching is not really necessary for finishing the game. You can, but you don't have to. Alrighty, my friends. So while I am powering up all this, it's time to say goodbye for today. So thanks for being around. I'm going to get the conveyor belt up to the up with the blue science for the next episode. And next episode, we're going to talk, I think, advanced oil processing. I really need to check on out what kind of things are on the menu. I really, really don't know. By the way, this is going to be a pretty lengthy task to get all that stuff up there. Oh dear. So, drop me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, some comments if you have questions, add-ons. Always love to hear back from you. And of course, leave a subscription on the channel. And down there in the description box, you will find the playlist to all of this. So we're already here deep down, almost in the 20th episode. So there you can find all the stuff that you want from the beginning. Thanks for watching. Feel free to support Icon Gaming financially, with a big thanks to all of you who already do. And a big thanks especially to you for watching this video up until the very end. See you all next time, and